okay, I'm entering dangerous territory here. There are problems with the pharmaceutical industry. There are greedy people in the pharmaceutical industry. But this interaction that this movie has with it is like 10-year-old level interaction, like money bad, basically, is what they're saying. It displays zero understanding of how the world works, of how medicines are developed, and how people are paid for developing those medicines. They don't believe it. I don't believe for a second that the creators of this movie actually believe in that, because they are some of the greediest, most soulless corporate shills that have ever walked this planet. I survived watching Jurassic World Rebirth in theaters. Barely.
It was a really rough watch. It's the only film I've ever seen in theaters that I had to hold my ears for like 20 minutes of it.
Yeah, I think some people behind us actually thought you were having a PTSD episode because you were like curled up with your ears plugged, like convulsing with laughter during one of the most intense moments.
Yeah, I definitely had like a reverse panic attack. I couldn't control my body anymore. It was just too much. But we'll get into why that happened later. But Kevin, I have to ask you, man. So you actually enjoyed this a little bit?
I didn't say I enjoyed it. I said it was better than I expected. I went into it thinking it was going to be dumb like the Jurassic World movies, but this one felt more like one of the Jurassic Park movies, where they're actually running from dinosaurs and they're actually trapped on the island. They're waiting for a helicopter. It felt more like the original Jurassic Park, you know, the one that we all fell in love with, that started this whole freaking franchise. Probably the only good one in the entire series. Still felt a little lackluster, though.
So when you say it's similar to Jurassic Park, are you mostly talking about like action sequences and less about the plot itself?
Yeah, basically. I mean, because the first movie they were trapped in the park. It was basically almost like the same thing, where the dinosaurs were loose, and you don't know what you're gonna come across. I was with it until the mutants showed up, and then I'm like, no, this is dumb. But like I did enjoy the T-Rex scene where he was laying in the grass and just came up and all of a sudden was chasing him. I thought that was interesting. Other than that, I felt that it floundered.
Kevin, you're gonna hate me, man, but I like to keep things honest on this show, and I probably couldn't disagree with everything you've said more. To be real with you,
that's all right, man. That's what it's for.
If you're telling me that this film made you harken back to the first film, which was an absolute masterpiece, which is in the National American Film Hall of Fame, if you think this film even reminded you of that at all, I don't see it. This film was like dog on the bottom of my shoe, and that film is like a trophy in a trophy case. I don't really see the comparisons. Even the scenes where they were running away from the dinosaurs, I was like, this is just CGI slop crap where I'm not even worried about the protags getting eaten because they have so much fake plot armor. It's basically just wasting time. Like, I need to hold my ears every time this mutant bird comes on the screen because it's literally shattering my eardrums. I didn't have to do that in Jurassic Park 1. I was actually on the edge of my seat. The scene in the first movie where the two cars are stopped and the T-Rex breaks out of the fence in the rain, that was one of the best scenes I've ever seen in film. I was like, when the water's shaking and the T-Rex is getting closer, but you haven't fully seen it yet, but this massive creature is about to attack these helpless people. That put real fear into me. But like the Jurassic World Rebirth version of that scene, which is the T-Rex chasing a literal like life raft while humans are frantically paddling away. Yeah, that was probably one of the worst scenes in the entire movie, in my opinion. But I'll stop my tirade for a second and give you guys a chance to respond.
I mean, I pretty much agree with what you're saying. In the Jurassic Park movie, I feel like the action sequences that do exist are somewhat few and far between, and they're very tasteful, and they are grounded in really awesome animatronics. They made things look so realistic in that film, despite the fact that it was the early 90s. There's a few shots here and there that now look pretty bad. Like, I think the first time that they see the sauropods in the fields, like, they look kind of rough to today's standards. But the T-Rex scene, the velociraptors, that thing with the frills that kills the
Nedry kills Nedry.
what's his name?
Nedry.
That's made up. But
Let's say it's not like you just made that up right then and there.
but
I know
but,
more than the average guy about Jurassic Park.
but those scenes are laden with suspense. They're grounded. They are believable. I feel like in this movie, it's like just action after action after action of just huge, ridiculous CG. The camera's flying around. Like, the cameras are never actually like handheld. It's like a digital fly around camera. You know, I don't know. I just don't think it's really fair to compare this movie to Jurassic Park. Like, to be honest, if this movie didn't have the branding of like the logo and the music, I wouldn't even associate it with the Jurassic Park movie. It's so far removed. I would consider this closer to like Pacific Rim.
Yeah, the first film, we're talking about a best-selling book, right? That was adapted by one of the best directors of all time, Steven Spielberg, into a film that used literal, like, groundbreaking animatronics and dealt with something that had very seldom been touched on, which was dinosaurs attacking modern-day humans. I don't even know if that specific story had ever been done before in film. Versus what we see now, which is just like the watered down version of a 30-year-old concept where they're using like similar likeness of some of the characters. Like, I think they mentioned Alan Grant maybe one time, and the rest of it's just CGI and bad acting. Like, it's not even, like Alex was saying, it's not even really comparable. It's so far removed from the original product that was a masterpiece that it's just a melted, just forgettable version of what once was great.
Now, when I'm comparing to the first movie, I don't mean like frame for frame like the first movie. I meant like when they're going through the field and they reveal the Titanosaur with the tail, and you know, it reminded me somewhat like the Brontosaurus. I think it was Brontosaurus in the first movie, where, you know, they were all surprised to see the real dinosaurs. So like I guess the minor suspense leading up to that reveal reminded me of the first movie. As far as story and, you know, anything like that, I don't think it's anything like the first movie. I just meant like certain scenes, you know, brought me back to the original idea of being trapped on the island and running from dinosaurs, reminded me of the first movie. Now, comparing
They
this movie
definitely
to the
call
first
back
movie,
to it.
yeah, it was like, that's what I meant to say. It's probably like a callback instead of like reminding me, but it just reminded me of being trapped on the island, running from dinosaurs, and I thought that's what the movie was going to be. And then, like you said, it was just action after action, and some of it didn't make any sense at all. But, you know, that's
Yeah,
what's in movies these days.
I would even go as far as to say none of it made sense. Nothing logical happened. I mean, I could literally pick any scene from the film and it just doesn't make any sense. Like the Jaws ripoff scene, the 45-minute boat ride with a Mosasaurus chasing them along with Spinosauruses for some reason. The smuggler mercenary guy decides that the most logical conclusion is to get away from the Mosasaur, let me just literally speed my boat into the side of a rock and just shatter it so we literally can't escape the island. That makes a lot of sense. Like, it's just little things like that. I'm pretty sure in any scene that we mentioned in this video, I could break it down and just logically destroy it because it's just nothing. It's just a bunch of plot furthering crap that doesn't actually make sense, and it's not supposed to make sense. It's just supposed to put the characters in the next situation for the big CGI dinosaurs to come on the screen, and that's all there is.
Like, there's three things that stood out to me in this movie that I did not like. One is the plot itself being completely nonsensical. And like you were saying, Will, I agree that I think legitimately every single scene or like every single sequence I could go through and talk about 10 reasons why it doesn't make any sense, and it's absolutely just terrible writing. The thing is, an action movie doesn't have to make sense. I mean, it can still be entertaining, but the second prong is that I don't think it wasn't entertaining for me. The action sequences were just frustrating, drawn out, and tedious for me, because it felt like every single time it was just, oh, they're an inch away from being bitten, but the creature missed. Oh, again, they were an inch away from being bitten, but the creature missed, and the whatever dinosaur it was always just like plodding along, like, literally slower than a human can walk somehow, and failing to get its prey. And the only people that they ever killed were just like the actual non-characters who didn't even have lines, except for one guy that spoke in French the entire time, which was like, okay. And then the third prong is that the messaging in the film I thought was super cringy. Like there's some really just surface level like virtue signaling that I also think is really hypocritical for the creators of this film. Which of those prongs do you guys want to go down first? Action sequences, the writing, or the messaging? Or we could just go. I actually have I have 10 like a list of 10 scenes that essentially describe everything in the film.
Yeah, so if your scenes are chronological, obviously
Yeah.
I'd love to hop in and say a bit about each scene. So how about you start, and then I'll see like where me and Kevin fit in.
Okay, scene 1 is when a Snickers wrapper causes the entire island to be abandoned.
No, dude. I was like, there's no way.
You know what I was thinking during that scene? I was like, okay, so this is supposed to be like a top secret pinnacle of science facility here, and you just have a random dude who is in a hazmat suit, basically, completely sterile environment, just holding and eating a Snickers somehow. Like, what is that?
Yeah, that whole scene was obnoxiously. It was like an 8-year-old wrote it because, like you said, he's in a hazmat suit, so obviously he can't open the hazmat suit for anything, even eating a snack. I'm sure they've got regulations on all of this. And second, when the wrapper goes into the machine, it doesn't. I don't understand how it affected the machine and short circuited the machine. It made no sense whatsoever. It's not like it's a metal wrapper that it conducts electricity or something. I didn't get that at all, and I was just like, that's already off to a bad start.
Yeah, these are my top things about that scene that don't make sense. So obviously I just said the thing about him having the Snickers in the first place is dumb. But let's really think about what is happening in the scene, right? So first of all, you have a facility that for some reason is maintaining and taking care of these mutated failure creatures. Like, they were genetic failures that aren't going to be placed in any park, yet you still have them, like, basically being taken care of on a day-to-day basis. For some reason, the scientists have to go in there with the giant mutant 5-armed T-Rex. Like, it just doesn't make sense. They have to go in there with it. But when
Stop
they're
eating a Snickers, Kevin.
Yeah, we can hear that. But when
you can eat it.
When they're actually going, like, when the door is opening, for some reason the mechanism that's going to shut down the security for the entire island can be disrupted by a literal piece of plastic going in it for 1 second. Like, that shut down the entire island. The reason they had to abandon all of their research and the entire equator around the Earth to these dinosaurs is because a piece of plastic went into their door mechanism, and that's it.
Yeah, I think on its face, it's ridiculous. Like, it is comical to, for one, okay, it's such blatant product placement. Like, we're 30 seconds into the film, and it's like, Snickers, Snickers, Snickers. And then, okay, yeah, it getting sucked in and immediately, like, flames are, like, shooting out, and then the entire facility is basically just detonating. Pretty funny to watch. But then, also, if you think about that scene with later context from the movie, yeah, you find out that that event caused them to not just shut down the lab, but completely abandon an entire, like, large tropical island, which, if you live in the real world, you know that large tropical islands are very valuable real estate, and really aren't that many of them. And I mean, I guess there's a few. There's a few tropical islands out there, quite a lot actually. But the idea that this place would just be given up on forever is unthinkable. It's really unthinkable. Yeah, ridiculous.
But like, what is the point? So they have this mutated tyrannosaur that was somehow created, right? And it's so dangerous that if given the chance, it will immediately just eat people. It's not going to be used in a park. It's not going to be released into the wild. Why are they keeping it? Why, like what? It just makes no sense. Like it's just there to be the antagonist of the film, and I have issues with that dinosaur as an antagonist anyway, because it ultimately just does nothing. But what, like, literally, what is the point of this thing's existence?
It kind of felt like a rewrite issue to me. I almost wonder if like some people or at one point one draft included a lot more around the mutants, because yeah, they really serve no purpose in the film and they only show up at the very end to just like burst all of the audience's eardrums for a little while, and then they don't really do anything. Like the movie isn't about mutant dinosaurs, and that's something that I feel like even Jurassic World, which I don't like Jurassic World 1. I think it's absolutely like unnecessary and pales in comparison to Jurassic Park. But at least it had a more clear vision on what it was about. Like it was about creating a mutant dinosaur. It was about creating a dinosaur that was more like intelligent and capable than it was naturally supposed to be, and how it, you know, rampaged, and I don't remember exactly what happens, but that's sort of what it revolves around. And in this one, that's not what this movie is about. We'll get into what it's about. It's just a footnote that there's just a essentially a kaiju from Pacific Rim. It's Godzilla 2.0 that's just on this island. We see it once in the movie.
Yeah, I half expected atomic breath to come out of it at one point. I was like, is this thing going to shoot a beam out of its mouth? That would be like the only redeeming quality. Wait, I also thought that, okay, I guess we can talk about this later. I'll just say it now, though. Did you guys think that the D-Rex was going to have a showdown and fight the T-Rex at some point in the film?
Uh-huh.
Yep, and they didn't do it. Like, that would have been the one cool thing, like giant dinosaurs fighting, and they didn't do it.
So scene 2, and I mean this is what I'm calling the scenes, but anyways, the next thing is essentially the movie sets up what the movie's going to be about. So we introduce our sort of main character, I guess, which is Scarlett Johansson, who is this like mercenary for hire type situation, meets with a rich pharmaceutical representative who tells her that his company can cure heart disease if they get samples from 3 of the largest dinosaur creatures to have ever existed. And she agrees to this plan. And of course, there's some backstory that they give, which is that the world has sort of stopped caring about dinosaurs, and also like they used to have, I guess I missed a couple Jurassic World movies, I'm gonna be honest, so I'm missing a little bit of lore, but I guess that like the whole world got Jurassic like zoos, because like New York City had a zoo of dinosaurs, but then the dinosaurs couldn't survive in the climate, which makes sense, like they weren't designed to last winters, and so now the only dinosaurs that are left are basically in around the equator, and it's just a no-go zone. There's like a illegal area to enter. People are not allowed to get anywhere near these dinosaurs anymore. So I have so many problems with the premise of this movie. I hate that they just insinuate that having DNA from large hearts is going to cure human heart disease. We're talking about creatures that are 100+ million years old. We share about as much DNA with them as we do like the housefly, okay? And we're supposed to use their DNA to cure our diseases. That is, I can't even fathom who came up with that idea.
I felt like it was a cop out. Like it feels like it's been done before, you know?
Done before and better.
Yeah, it did make any sense to me, and they were specific about it. We need the largest of the land mammals, the flying mammals, the ocean mammals.
That was dumb.
You know, I'm like, why are we categorizing them? Why? What's the difference between the land mammal or the land dinosaur and the flying dinosaur? You know, they didn't explain that at all. I didn't understand that at all. I didn't like how Scarlett Johansson's character acted after all that either. You know, obviously that was the character she was playing, but she didn't. It didn't seem like she was supposed to play a character that was worried about the number of zeros, and that kind of put a bad taste in my mouth for that character. So I don't know. I guess that's what a mercenary is, though.
No, they didn't do like I'll go back to the dinosaur heart thing, but the mercenary bit didn't make any sense either. Like they were supposed to be these literal international criminals, yet all of a sudden they have plot device morals. Like, okay, but we can talk about that later. Yeah, the giant dinosaur thing literally made no sense. As soon as he was like, "Oh, we need the biggest in the sea, the biggest in the air, and the biggest on land," I was like, "Okay, that doesn't actually make sense. You're just trying to tell us as the viewer that we're going to get to see the three biggest dinosaurs from each setting." Like, that's all that meant to me. But they explained it by saying, "Oh, we found a compound inside dinosaur blood. It's called like paleodextrin," which just actually makes no sense. Also, the whole thing was to cure heart disease. Heart disease is usually caused by all these comorbidities that have nothing to do with, like, you can't just inject something into someone and it's going to cure it. Like, that's not how that works. And that's a very simplified answer.
I mean, you don't catch heart disease, right?
Yeah. It's not necessarily hereditary. A lot of the factors that cause heart disease have nothing to do with injecting anything's blood inside of you or any compound inside of you. Also, if they could have gotten the compound or whatever just from the mosasaur itself, why didn't they just go shoot the mosasaur with like 50 of those little vials and then take those back to land? Like, why did they have to go literally risk their lives to go find these other dinosaurs? I mean, even the Titanosaurus or whatever, like, that thing was super chill, wasn't going to kill anybody. They could have flown over with a helicopter, shot all 90 of those like 10,000 times, gotten like 8 million gallons of blood, and that's all they would have needed. They even showed that there was like over 100 titanosaurs in that one little valley, but yet they have to go literally fight a mosasaur like with guns to get. It's just, I can't. I could go on for like 3 hours about that. And also,
there are dinosaurs that aren't in the illegal zone. As they're talking about this mission, they're literally driving past a sauropod of some kind. I don't know if it's a brontosaurus or what kind it is, but they are driving past a CGI-saurus. They are driving past one on the road in Manhattan, talking about how they're going to go to a like international no-fly zone to pirate some DNA when it's sitting right next to them.
That one had too many microplastics in its blood.
I guess so. It's not big enough. We need the human heart to be the size of a school bus. I don't know. Okay. Moving on a little bit. There's just a sequence of them recruiting people for the job. They recruit a scientist from a old dusty museum, and they recruit a smuggler who's going to actually get them in. And it's during these scenes that I was realizing just how boring the characters are. Like, a combination of both, like, the acting and just the bland writing. Like, these people did not have personality. They were not interesting. They were not funny. Like, there's this cringy scene where the scientist is deciding whether or not to take the job, and he's just crunching Altoids, the second obvious product placement of the movie. He's just crunching Altoids over and over again in silence, and it's like, this is so funny because it's awkward.
It wasn't even awkward. They were trying to force it, and it's like, dude, I don't even know, what was he even supposed to be? Like, he is a young man working in a failing museum, so he's jobless, but apparently he's so intellectually gifted that he just knows literally everything about biology, physiology, where to find these dinosaurs, their behavior, just everything about everything. Like, he is the Oracle, but yet he's getting fired from his museum job because nobody likes dinosaurs anymore. I didn't like that plot point at all. Like, people.
The guy from the pharmacy company did say he was a consultant. He was consulting on something.
Dude, I like
which
how
is
this movie is so freaking bland and
yeah.
hand-fisted that you have to say the man from the pharmaceutical company. Like that's all
Yeah,
he
I can't
was.
remember. I can't remember the character's name.
Just like a quick comparison to Jurassic Park, like the scientists, and to be fair, I don't remember the characters' names, but the scientists that are introduced for Jurassic Park are, um, it shows them, it goes through great lengths to show them doing a real job. It actually shows them at a dig site, a paleontological dig site, working on extracting carefully these dinosaur bones from the earth, and then talking to a group of tourists about, oh, this is what we know about this velociraptor skeleton and how we know it. And there's the whole interaction with the boy and the claw that everybody knows that scene. And this gives us so much information about who these people are, how they think, what their life is like. And we see them as dedicated, obsessed, quirky scientists. This guy, it's just like, hey, here's a scientist, and that's all you need to know about him forevermore. He's not really a character at all. And all it shows him do at the museum is pack up boxes, and then for the rest of the movie, he just says, like, that's a Titanosaurus. Okay, so they recruit these characters. And then they're on a boat, they're heading to the no-go zone. And then we introduce the family who is sailing in the international no-go area. And it never properly explains why they're in this area. And it's even worse because they try to and fail so miserably. Like, later, after they get rescued by the bigger boat, like, one of them is saying, like, oh yeah, why were you in this area anyway? And the father says, like, there's thousands of boats on the Atlantic Ocean, or whatever ocean they're on. It's like, dude, that's not the question. You're in a specific place that no one is supposed to be, and you're just waving that off as like normal.
Yeah, I really didn't like off-brand Pedro Pascal. I hated him, his entire family, his horrible acting. Like I don't even know the purpose they serve in the movie. It was almost like a callback to the fact that there was a family stranded on the island in Jurassic Park 3, which, it's funny, at the time people hated Jurassic Park 3 for a whole bunch of different reasons. They thought the family was stupid. But that movie is an actual like masterpiece / classic compared to whatever this was. And yeah, the family, the super unlikable boyfriend, the super unlikable daughter, just the random NPC toddler that was with them that encountered like a mosasaur, a T-Rex, and all these other things, and just never was in any real danger. And oh my god, bro,
dude, the arc of the boyfriend is one of the most baffling character arcs I have ever witnessed. Like, I'm still like trying to work through kind of exactly like what they intended with his character. They go through great lengths to demonstrate that he is like a deadbeat, like narcissistic, just absolute a-hole. He does not care in the slightest about the needs of others. Like, the dad is practically begging him, like, please take the wheel. It's your shift. I'm tired. And he's just like, yeah, man, I don't know. I kind of feel like a little bit tired. Hey, can I have some of your candy? Can I have some of your licorice? Like, they establish this as a worthless human being. And then through the rest of the movie, won't get too far into it, but like, they basically, instead of making it to where he like learns and changes, they basically just have him flip on a dime and be like the person who's actually on it. And then the dad like apologizes. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I was so wrong about you. Like, I didn't realize you were such a good person, and I just didn't see that. I cannot fathom the meaning of that. Like, we're supposed to just think that people who are inconsiderate, lazy, selfish a-holes are actually just not.
Yeah, and when that character arc or character flip happens on a dime, it's like it turns into this other weird thing where this previously extremely arrogant jerk kid suddenly becomes very self-deprecating. He's like, no, man, I'm lazy and I don't know how to do anything right. I don't know what she sees in me. It's like, okay, then he just starts spouting it off into all that. And then the father's like, no, that's what they want you to think. Don't let their perception of you. I'm like, first of all, who is they? I don't even want to speculate about who is supposed to be they in that scene. How is a human 17-year-old male out swimming a mosasaur that is attacking him? Like, at that point, they pretty much established that nothing bad is going to happen to these disgusting. I need to stop. That nothing bad is going to happen to this family.
They'll be the main characters in the sequel.
There better not be a sequel. But, dude, the daughter
there's gonna be like 9 more, dude.
The daughter was insufferable. She was bossing around the father. The father was basically castrated. He's like, do I have to keep steering? And the boyfriend's like, yeah, you do. And the daughter's like, you better like him, Dad. And the daughter,
that's also what's crazy. After that interaction, the daughter is actually like, you don't see in him what I do. The daughter, the boyfriend is a good distractor of, like, his character is so horrible and baffling that it makes you not think about the other characters in the family as much. But what do you know, or what is established about the daughter?
Nothing.
I mean, it seemed like it was after she graduated high school, but before she went off to NYU.
She's going to NYU. I think that's the only piece of information I learn about her life. Like, that's really awesome.
Which is a prestigious school, and they're just trying to say, oh, the father's some dumb, backwards guy who's a freaking abusive narcissist because he doesn't want his daughter to date some, like, actual arrogant pothead loser. So the dad is the backwards one. Turns out the curly-headed loser is actually the good guy who's, like, saving the daughter when the dad's just crying on the boat with his hurt knee. And then there's the little comic relief, except no one was laughing, toddler life vest wearing daughter who bonds with some fake CGI dinosaur that also contributes nothing to the film. Like, this movie was made for people who need to be sent to Antarctica.
What?
Didn't she name the little dino Dolores or something? I couldn't even figure out what kind of dinosaur it was.
It was another CGI-saurus. It actually looks so fake and bad, too.
It really does look bad, and it's so depressing. Like, this is a common thing of, like, dude, CGI peaked in, like, 2016, legitimately. I don't think that there's been a movie with as good CGI as, like, the 2010s since 2020. After 2020, CGI is just so lazy and cartoonish and bad, like, consistently.
I don't think there's been better CGI than Dead Man's Chest ever. I don't think there's
honestly, yeah. Well, okay, so we've already talked a little bit about the Mosasaur/Spinosaur chase, but that's kind of what comes next chronologically. The family gets chased and their boat flips over. Speaking of Pirates of the Caribbean, the upside down boat made me think of Pirates of the Caribbean. And then they get picked up by the illegal crew, and this is one of the first like kind of weird moral demonstrations where, like, everyone is basically saying, like, let's just do the mission, who cares about the SOS signal? And for some reason, the one person who just cares more about human life than, like, his own career and money is the smuggler, which is like, dude, your entire career is illegal means. You are a career criminal, and you're like, yeah, let's sacrifice everything to save a random family. What?
They don't even know that it's a random family. They're just getting a random distress signal from somewhere in the illegal zone. So he's like, oh yeah, you know how I just asked you for like 20 extra zeros to get this blood for you? Yeah, let's just abandon the entire mission and go pick up 4 people who we have no idea who they even are. Like, genuinely, the pharmaceutical company's salesman or whatever he is was better logically and more driven than any of these people. And it wasn't supposed to be that way. They're actually supposed to look at that as like a negative quality of him, but he was the only one who was like, guys, we're trying to like create a life-saving medicine here. We can't get distracted every 5 seconds because you got a random distress signal. Like, I'm paying you $50 million a piece to do this. And they're just all of a sudden just throwing everything away.
The chase itself, especially, so they pick up the family, and then the mosasaur starts the fight scene, whatever, or with the big boat, and it's just long, it's drawn out, it's painful.
It's a ripoff of Jaws.
Ripoff of Jaws, you know, whatever. That happens. The older daughter falls off the ship. The deadbeat jumps in after her, and then the father and younger daughter jump off, and then the boat crashes. And
wait, but they set up an important plot point here. So up until this point, the pharmaceutical company guy they're trying to make him seem shady, but they haven't actually shown anything that would indicate that he's shady. So what they do is when the daughter's hanging off the boat, the salesman guy is like cowering on the other side of the ship, and she's making direct eye contact, like, help me, and he just stays put. I mean, he's not Superman. He's literally just some salesman that came on the mission for some reason. She falls off the boat and ends up being completely fine. But through the rest of the movie, they don't say, hey, that pharmaceutical guy could have helped me, but he was too scared. That's not how they frame it. They literally say, he tried to kill me. And that's repeated by multiple characters. Oh, he tried to kill her. First of all, what he didn't try to kill her. What could he have even done? The boat was rocking and being attacked by 3 extremely large dinosaurs. Because he didn't try to grab her hand, he tried to kill her. I hated that. That's just such lazy writing. I don't know what they even wanted to get out of that. Oh, we need to make him seem like a really bad guy, so he's not going to help this random person they just picked up. He's not going to risk his life and these billions and trillions of dollars that he's talked about. He's not going to risk that to try to grab someone's hand when she's like being attacked by 3 dinosaurs. Like, it was just so stupid, man. So that's how they determine he's evil, because he tried to kill her by not extending his arm or something. It's just so dumb. This is like for literal babies to barely understand.
Will was very passionate about this particular plot point. Every single time that they brought up that like event, Will was like screaming in the theater. He was like standing up, turning to the people behind us and like, "Don't you see? He's not that bad."
Yeah, every time. But didn't you guys think it was actually dumb how it would have been way more realistic if they're just like, hey, he could have helped me, but he chose not to. But they literally chose to say, he tried to kill me.
I genuinely think I blacked out when she fell off of that boat. Like, I don't remember exactly what they showed him doing or what that interaction was, so I can't really comment on that particular thing.
Kevin.
To tell you what was going on, her father told her to go to the radio and SOS. Or Mayday. And because what they were doing was illegal and they weren't supposed to be there, the pharmacy guy tried to stop her. Literally, that's all he did. Then the boat twisted and she slid off and he didn't help her. I guess maybe because he was worried about being told on. I don't know, but there was a lot missing from that plot.
Yeah.
First off, if you're going to accuse this guy of trying to kill her, make her, build her up as a character more. I mean, they didn't build her up enough for us to even give a shit.
I didn't.
When she fell off the boat, I'm like, okay, somebody had to die, because you can't have these dinosaurs chasing you and nobody gets eaten. I thought she was one of the expendable characters. But if they were planning on making her one of the main characters, they should have developed her enough for us to give a shit when she fell off the boat. Because I didn't care either way.
On this one sort of rivalry of the daughter, hating pharmacy guy, the one thing that really bothered me about that whole thing was at the end of the movie, which I'm skipping ahead, but we're kind of going like topic by topic. At the end of the movie, they finally meet up and she's like, there he is, he tried to kill me, and they say something like, oh, don't be angry or something. She's like, I'm not angry, I'm homicidal. And at some point during this interaction, Pharmacy Man has a gun. He has like pulled a gun on everyone and said essentially like, don't try anything or I will shoot you. We're waiting on this helicopter. And she's like, I'm going to get you. I'm going to kill you. It's like, dude, who is this person that thinks that she can overpower a man who's like 10 years older than her with a gun? What are we talking about here?
She was the father of that family. Pedro Pascal was not the father. He was just some random bum who had like 4 lines. She was the father. So as the father,
Pedro Pascal.
No, he's in everything. It is him.
So at this point, after the the dinosaurs, it kind of branches, and it goes back and forth for the rest of the movie until the end, where you're following the family or you're following the pirate crew. So I guess we could start with the family's little adventure. They go into a sea cave, and it is at this point that we find out that they are not on planet Earth. They're actually on an alien CGI planet where there are like Avatar essentially floating rock spires. Not literally floating, but there are arches so massive and unbelievable that it legitimately, I was like, is this Avatar? Where are we? And this was just another thing that contrasted so sharply with Jurassic Park to me, is like, Jurassic Park was shot in a real place, a real beautiful tropical island in Hawaii. And for this movie, it was like, yeah, but what if we just made it like not real? What if we made everything CGI and like no place that has ever existed on Earth? I don't understand that decision. Everything looked fake because it is fake. It's not a real place. Whatever. I guess there's like alien Godzillas as well in this movie, so it doesn't matter that much. They like camp out. This is kind of the point where the deadbeat boyfriend has that interaction you were talking about, Will, where the dad like gives him this very strange pep talk for no reason. And then he goes off to pee. They have this whole scene where the boyfriend goes off to pee, and two raptors sneak up behind him to kill him, and then get attacked by some sort of pterodactyl. They have an entire fight to the death behind him, and he never even looks behind him. And then when they just leave, he just resumes peeing without ever looking. That is not something that you put in a serious movie. That is not something you put in a movie that cost like $300 million. It actually makes me want to shrivel up and die. What else happens to the family in their journey to get to the lab?
Well, most notably, they come across this random like shed on the water, and for some reason the father, and when I say the father, I mean the daughter, she decides to be the patriarch of the family and literally go walk beside a like 18-ton sleeping apex alpha predator just to get an inflatable raft and like a box of Cheez-Its or something, I can't remember. So she gets the raft, inflates it right beside the T-Rex. So the T-Rex goes from a REM sleep straight to like stealth mode and is just gone as soon as this raft inflates. So the family get on the raft for some reason, and they start like paddling with their hands and like paddling with like a pitcher of tea or something. And
they had actual paddles. And
the alpha 24-ton apex Jurassic Park mascot comes out and like clearly wants to eat them, and it just starts slowly wading in the water, slower than one of those motorized Walmart scooters, as this family is paddling like upstream away from it, and it slowly moseys on into the water and sinks below and starts swimming for some reason. And that's actually such a stupid thing, because in the original Jurassic Park books, there's a scene where the T-Rexes swim, and it is like a terrifying, like breathtakingly thrilling scene, because these creatures are they're not dinosaurs, they're mutants using dinosaur DNA. So like they have like frog DNA and stuff in them. So the fact that the T-Rexes can swim in the original novel was like terrifying. But the first time that's really shown in a Jurassic Park film is this dumb scene where some stupid family who we want to get brutally murdered and ground to a pulp so I can drink it in the audience as I'm watching the movie, they're the ones barely getting away from the T-Rex, and it's swimming under them, and it's just like it takes all the thrill away. There's nothing tantalizing about it. It's just like, oh, okay, the T-Rex is going to swim under them, but they're going to get away because something. And then that scene ends with them getting away, and the T-Rex's jaws miss them by like an inch. But like Alex was saying earlier, the T-Rex is literally like walking slower than a human can even walk. It's actually ridiculous. I think the dumbest part was when the T-Rex that had some of the most powerful jaws in animal history couldn't even puncture a literal just inflatable raft with its teeth, as there's a toddler under it. And also, this is a nitpick, but in nature, why would a creature who needs like 20,000 pounds of meat per day to survive be interested in eating a toddler, which is like 30 pounds of nothing to it? Like, why would it even be interested in hunting that? I don't know, man. Everything about everything in this movie is worth critique. That T-Rex inflatable scene was so stupid. It was just so stupid.
I actually wanted to like that scene because the interaction of the T-Rex and of raging water was kind of interesting. Like I sort of wanted to see it actually maybe like fall in and get swept because it was a pretty powerful stream. And I could imagine some interesting things happening with it. And I was like almost getting interested. But it was just frustrating. Yeah, it's like the plot armor of the characters was so strong. And at a certain point, and it's all CG. That's the other thing that was bothering me, is it's just all fake. I like the in the Peter Jackson King Kong movie when King Kong fights a bunch of T-Rexes like in the trees and they're like falling through giant trees as they're fighting. That was a good scene.
I like when he grabs their mouths like this and pulls it open till they crack and it kills them.
I don't know what to call them other than the pirate crew. I don't know, the mercenary crew. They collect their second sample from the Titanosaurs. I know you mentioned that you liked this scene, Kevin, but like the way that it just showed like the Titanosaurus is like making out with each other and like curling their tails and like making, again, I felt like I was in Avatar. I felt like this was like an alien planet with just the like, it didn't look like real animal behavior at all to me.
Yeah, I thought the tails were being exaggerated.
Dude, they made like a heart above them. They were like they made a heart symbol with their tails as they were like kissing.
That was dumb. And
did it actually? Did it actually do that?
No, but it was pretty close. I don't know, but I mean, okay, whatever. They tried to do the like awe-inspiring. Oh, we love seeing big dinosaurs, whatever. Also, those things were probably about 5 times larger than the real actual Titanosaurs, but doesn't matter. Then what else happens to them? Oh my goodness, there's the rappelling scene. Something that irked me personally as someone who's been sort of in and out of the rock climbing community for like, I don't know, 8 years or so at this point. It really irked me. Like they get to the top of this like 500-foot cliff and Scarlett Johansson takes like one look over the edge and goes, yeah, it's a vertical slab with some overhang, probably a 513. And like, if you are a climber, then you would know that there's like, she used 3 descriptors that are all contradictory to each other. A slab is pitched forward, overhang is pitched back, and vertical is not pitched at all. And she just used all 3 to describe one route. And then like assessing it as a 513, that's total absolute BS. Like that is a higher grade than almost anyone that, if you're not a professional climber, if it's not what you do for a living, you're not climbing 513. So she would not know what a 513 looks like unless she was established to be a rock climbing character. If they wanted to make her character not a mercenary but a professional rock climber that they brought along, that would be fine for her to say. Anyways, I was getting annoyed by this point in the film. And they fight the Quetzalcoatlus giant pterodactyl thing.
I like how they make such an emphasis about they have to have blood because it's like in the hearts of these super large animals, and then for the Quetzalcoatlus they just settle for amniotic fluid from one of its eggs. Like it's gonna change the world, guys. Also, they didn't care that the French guy got completely swallowed by that thing. Like they at least mentioned that the other 2 characters died. Like when the chick dies to the Spinosaurus, they're like, oh, that's so sad, and they're like screaming her name. When General Noble dies to the Spinosaurus, they're like, oh my god, he died. But when the French guy gets just straight swallowed, they like never mention it for the rest of the film.
I think it showed the smuggler make one sad face.
Okay. I stand corrected.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have too much else to say about that scene. Like, it was just, again, it was long, it was ear piercing. I mean, we legitimately were holding our ears for most of this. And, okay, to be fair, this is mostly the theater's fault. They had the volume too loud. But at the same time, it's like, even when the volume's too loud, like, explosions weren't that bad. Like, it wasn't painful
It was the
to have
shrillness.
explosions go off. It was, yeah, only the dinosaur noises when it was just, like, the most shrieking, the most just high-pitched, horrible noises they could have possibly designed.
I watched it in the Dolby theater, and the shrilling part came from behind, and like every time it shrilled like that, I wanted to look behind me like there was a bird or something because it was right there. So I feel you guys on that one.
There was little kids running around behind us constantly, and like I didn't even care because the movie sucked. But it's like that's what the Jurassic Park franchise has devolved to, just like a little kid's playground.
Dude, some people clapped at the end of this movie, man.
That I didn't need to hear that. That just took years off my life hearing that. Maybe they clapped because it was over. They didn't clap because it was good.
I don't know.
Dude,
man,
if people had clapped in our theater, I might have actually like booed or something, and like not even by my own choice. It would have just come out of me. Okay, so we enter the third act of the movie, which is just they get to the lab. The daughter tries to kill Pharmacy Man, and then there's like 45 minutes of just running around with these mutant, not real dinosaurs that are making horrible noises. You don't care about any of the characters. You're never actually thinking that they're in danger. They're just always 1 microsecond from being eaten, but never actually getting eaten. The kaiju comes in and like breathes fire, and then the smuggler sacrifices himself. That scene, they're all standing on a dock within like 10 feet of each other, and this like 400,000 foot tall creature is leaning over all of them and just looking at them and like just not eating them. And the smuggler like gets a flare, and this thing like turns to look at him and like slowly like follows him. It was hypnotized. It was in a trance. Like it wasn't even trying to eat these people. It was just looking at them for scientific purposes. And so the smuggler leads it off. It like roars at him, and he roars back, and then we don't see him again until it turns out he didn't actually die. So that entire scene was completely worthless.
The only reason
right?
the only reason they even put the D-Rex in the movie is just so the evil pharmaceutical company guy who wanted to save millions of lives could have the most brutal death in the film. So he gets bitten in half by the thing. But yeah, generally it's just really slow moving, isn't scary at all. It just kind of shows up, walks slowly around, and then just eats the guy, and that's really it. That's the only purpose it serves. So super weak antagonist. Yeah. It was kind of like a rip-off of...
I think he was scary when he wasn't revealed. You know,
he was scary when the movie was still in its trailer stage, and then they ruined it just like everything else.
I mean, we've pretty much covered the story. I think it's worth talking a little bit about like kind of the messaging of it. And I want to be clear, like, so for like Love, Death and Robots, we had a lot of issues with the messaging, and that I felt like was a case where the messaging took precedent over like the writing and the actual execution. It was like they really cared about the messages. They really believed and cared about the messages that they were trying to push. I don't think it's the same problem in this movie. I think this is the like corporate soulless messaging. It's like the most safe hypocrite, like they don't believe what they're trying to say, essentially, is what I'm getting at. Think about it. This movie, the bad guy is literally Big Pharma. Big Pharma is the bad guy of Jurassic World Rebirth. There are multiple explicit discussions where the good guys are saying like, oh, we shouldn't make money off of curing heart disease. We need to give it to the people and make it free for everyone, because medicine isn't for only the rich. Medicine is for everyone. Which, like, look, okay, I'm entering dangerous territory here. There are problems with the pharmaceutical industry. There are greedy people in the pharmaceutical industry. But this interaction that this movie has with it is like 10-year-old level interaction, like money bad, basically, is what they're saying. It displays zero understanding of how the world works, of how medicines are developed, and how people are paid for developing those medicines. And they don't believe it. I don't believe for a second that the creators of this movie actually believe in that, because they are some of the greediest, most soulless corporate shills that have ever walked this planet. Just look at the product placements. There's like 6 minutes of product placement in this garbage film, and it's all for junk food. And they're sitting here telling us that we're gonna give the cure to heart disease to the people because they're all eating M&Ms and Snickers, because that's the product placement that these companies have sponsored our movie for. Dude, this is the most like blood-boilingly fake messaging of a movie I have seen maybe ever.
Definitely could not have said that better myself. I also hesitate to say this, but I have a sneaking suspicion that this film wasn't originally supposed to have an anti-big pharma message, but because of Luigi, they were like, hey, we could make a lot of money if we sort of include this anti-big pharma thing. And to an extent, they were right, dude. Big opening weekend for Jurassic World Rebirth. A lot of money being generated here.
You see that its opening weekend also made Scarlett Johansson the #1 box office leading actress.
That doesn't surprise me at all. I can't even name another actress besides her, so...
There was one
All
other
right,
thing.
so how many subscribers are we up to now?
36.
36. We're getting up there. I mean, we're still small, but 36 is a good start. So thank you to those 36. Well, 35, because one of them's me.
Why would you ever admit that on here?
What, did I subscribe to my own channel? Because I have great taste and I know this channel's awesome, so...
Yeah, I think we do want to say that as the audience, your opinions matter to us a lot more than they would on other larger channels, meaning if you have any suggestions for what we should review, what you'd like us to review, even if you post a comment and it gets like 1 like, I mean, we'll probably watch that film. We're still at a stage where we can afford to do that. So give us your feedback, give us suggestions, and we want to interact with you on like a one-to-one basis. This isn't some distant thing. Like, we want to have a very involved reach with our audience.
And if you just want to rage bait us, that's fine too. It's really fun getting a notification and it's someone saying that like we suck. I actually enjoy that.
I love the text messages in the group chat of like, did you see what this guy said?
Yeah, like the guy on the dating video who called us all gay for some reason. That was a great comment.
I like when someone said that we suck except for the guy in the hat. It was I forget.
Confession. That was secretly me.
Yeah, I know.
That wasn't me.
I had one other thing to bring up for this movie, and it's another sort of like weird ideological thing, and it's less important than the big pharma thing, but it's just a throwaway conversation. And again, I think this is where they were trying to imitate Jurassic Park, because Jurassic Park, you know, one of the people that they bring to the park to sort of test run it is a like a philosopher or a psychologist. What's that character's like actual occupation?
Wait, who are you talking about?
I'm sorry, I should know his name. He's the funny man.
Jeff Goldblum?
Yes, thank you. Goldblum. Is he a psychologist?
I don't even know what he is.
It's something to do with chaos, because he kept talking about chaos all the time.
He's some sort of thinker character. Okay, he's essentially there to assess the moral standing of this park. And so there are conversations in Jurassic Park about, like, you know, the ethics of genetic modification and keeping these animals in captivity and, like, messing with nature and all of this stuff, right? And they're really interesting. Well, this movie tried to have a conversation that kind of was similar to that, but essentially the conversation goes well, actually, I can't remember exactly how it starts. But the scientist says, intelligence is overrated as an evolutionary trait. humans have only been around for like a couple 100,000 years, and dinosaurs were on the planet for like 100 million years. So take that, humans. And also, we're about to destroy ourselves, so we'll see who lasts longer. And for one, it's this like nihilistic, just self-demeaning thing that's so common in film of like, oh yeah, humans are so stupid because we all we do is fight each other. And it's like no species has ever done anything even remotely similar to what humanity has done. Like we're allowed to be a little bit proud of like conquering the planet. The other thing is comparing one species, the amount of time that one species has been around, to an entire like phylum of creatures that lasted for 100 million years. A more appropriate comparison would be mammals and dinosaurs, which mammals outlasted and outcompeted dinosaurs. Like, we won. We've been around a very, very, very long time. I just thought that whole conversation was idiotic.
I just think it's funny that his reasoning, he was like, oh, the Earth could just shake us off at any point if it got tired. Well, the funny thing is the Earth sort of shook the dinosaurs off and kept us around, so take that, buddy.
It was just weak.
He was a mathematician, by the way.
Okay, that's the worst thing he could have... Oh, you're talking about Goldblum, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Goldblum.
I thought you were talking about the Dr. Loomis, because I don't even know what he was supposed to be.
I was trying to tell you guys 20 seconds ago, but you guys were on a tangent of what you're talking about, so I let it go. So yeah, he was a mathematician. I don't know why he was in the park, but
yeah, despite common misconceptions, the asteroid did not wipe out the dinosaurs. It certainly accelerated things, but they were on the way out anyway. They were being outcompeted by mammals. You're probably wondering what mammal could have taken down a dinosaur. Well, it didn't happen when the dinosaurs were adults. Their eggs were being eaten, and the climate was not changing in their favor. So they were pretty much donezo, and we took over. We're here. And there's no more dinosaurs unless you consider chickens descendants of dinosaurs, and we literally put them in factories for lunch meat. So
The asteroid did put him down, though.
no, they still survived for a considerable amount of time after that in much smaller pockets, but yeah, it definitely orchestrated their complete demise and irreversible downfall. It's not like asteroid hit and they were just all gone after that. There were dinosaurs after
Yeah,
that.
not immediately, but in terms of geologic time, essentially, I think so. I mean, like the 65 million year, like we knew about the 65 million year divide in the fossil record far before we found a gigantic asteroid crater that it was dated at 65 million years ago. Like the finding of that crater and then dating it at the exact time that dinosaurs leave the fossil record was like one of the most incredible paradigm shifting events in geologic history, I think.
Don't say paradigm shift on here.
Okay. Well, I get what you're trying to say, that it's like not as cut and dry, but at the same time it kind of it is like easily number one. Like, it's basically what did it, and it
Well,
it did
they
it
would have
pretty
been gone anyway, which is my point. They were on the way out anyway. They weren't able to compete with mammals because of changing climate and the fact that if you have like 50 rats that eat every single one of your nests while you're asleep, like, you can't, they were not going to come back from that.
Yeah, but if there's like a 75-year-old man in a house and someone goes in and shoots him, you wouldn't say like, oh yeah, that person wasn't shot to death. He was on his way out anyway.
I don't think that's comparable.
Okay, guys, we have to give our ratings. I think I could probably guess around where our ratings are going to sit, but I'll start off and say 1.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I'll give it a 1. It wasn't enjoyable. I was literally holding my ears, which, if you get to a point where you're actively blocking one of your senses when the film is in front of you, that's not a good sign. So yeah, I'll give it a 1. I would never watch it again. I would never recommend it. I hate that I spent money towards it. The popcorn wasn't even worth it. It was literally abysmal. I hated it. Just 1.
I'm going to give it a 2. Only because, like I said, it was better than I expected, but I was expecting trash, which we got trash, but
This is top of the garbage can trash, not bottom of the garbage can trash.
Not quite as
2
smelly.
is yeah, yeah. I can't give anything more than that because I was, like you said, I wanted my money back. It was so terrible. But cost of doing business, I guess, right?
All right, so we've given our reviews, Alex. I know you want to show us a couple of reviews, so let's hear them.
Well, it's kind of interesting because this is one time where critics haven't really rallied behind the movie. Like sometimes you'll have a movie that's total trash and critics just give it like 100%, because of some message it has or whatever it is. This one does have like generally pretty negative critic ratings, but not horrible. It's not like 20%. I think it's like around 50. And so I was curious. I was like, okay, what are critics that have positive reviews for this movie saying? And I found one on Rotten Tomatoes by Sarah Knight Adamson, who says, Jurassic World Rebirth effectively captures the essence and wonder of the first film, Jurassic Park, thanks to groundbreaking visual effects, particularly during the Brontosaurus scene, where gorgeous close-ups are breathtaking.
This is not a person with a brain. Like, she doesn't have a brain. She doesn't need to be around. She doesn't need to operate heavy machinery. Literal, like... Okay, I don't know what to say. They say if you don't have anything positive to say, you shouldn't say anything at all. So I'm sure she's a very nice woman. I don't like that saying. I'm sure she's very nice. I'm sure she has a husband and kids and contributes to society and loves her life. Yeah.
It's not a Brontosaurus. And groundbreaking visual effects. What? In what world are the visual effects in this movie groundbreaking? Like, are these people... Like, I seriously think people... Like, the last movie they watched was in 1980. And they're like, oh my goodness, they have CGI now? It's like, dude, we've had this for decades, and it used to literally look better. Anyways.
She got paid to write that review. That's the answer that you're looking for.
And then there's another review by Damon Fudge.
That's
and it's longer. I'm not gonna read all of it. But he says so it turns out that everything we as humans have done to our planet has made it inhospitable to dinosaur life, and all of those creatures roaming around in the wild or kept in zoos are dying. Damon, Mr. Fudge. Dinosaurs lived in a warmer climate than we have. What we have done to the planet is making it more hospitable for dinosaurs. You absolute idiot. Go home and vote for... Never mind. It's just so brain dead, dude. Like, I'm a scientist, okay? I am a scientist. Climate change is real. I am behind all that. But, like, can we not be... I can't even say the words. I'm sorry. I'm getting radicalized.
I just poured a bunch of whatever I was drinking into my crotch, so that kind of, like, puts the cherry on top for this.
I just don't know how it's become so cool to just hate the human race more than anything else. We're just the worst thing that has ever happened.
Yeah, I'm sure Damon Fudge is like the fucking epitome of like peak male performance. So I like how you're trying to look and see if you can see a picture of him.
The funny thing is, it doesn't matter how much they review this movie. They could say this movie's the worst pile of trash to ever come out of movie theaters, and it's still going to gross $1 billion.
Here's where they were like having tentacle sex. Dude, like, what is going on? They didn't... I can't.
How can a creature defy the laws of physics with its tail? Like, how could their tail have that much dexterity?
Yeah, it's not a balloon. Like, there's no way it would be able to hold its tail like that.
I like it. This movie has us arguing over the anatomy of dinosaurs, bro.
Like, we fucking know.
I think me knowing about dinosaurs as a kid would make me a qualified writer for this movie, and that's it.